Where was I? 25 years ago, I was in 3rd grade. I was 9 years old. 25 years ago, Cris Carter was...
Was that the first time in 3rd grade or the time they held you back?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
what, with 1995?
1995. Cris Carter was a 2-time Pro Bowler at that point, maybe 3-time Pro Bowler at that point.
1995.
You had just set the NFL record.
Yeah.
And Jenna, you were on your...
Still in college?
Yeah.
Young and in college.
I was getting ready to go for 122 and 17 that year.
Oh, yeah.
122 catches.
Catches in 17, yeah. Warren Moon. So we were all in little
Where
different
were you?
places. I was in 3rd grade.
For the second.
Okay. So, listen, that was startling. I knew the Browns hadn't won a playoff game forever, but it is interesting that Baker literally wasn't born yet. I don't look at the Browns as a hype team. I look at the Browns as a very, very promising team. And I disagree with Baker that I think he's creating a chip on his shoulder because that's what he's always had. I think he's creating a narrative that it can't be no one believes in us because you're talking about hype. It now has to be everybody hates us. But the reality is everybody didn't hate the Browns. People are rooting against the Patriots, some people, because they're sick of them. Some people are rooting against the Cowboys because they get so much coverage. People are either believe that the Browns are overhyped or they're more like me, and they're really excited to see what they can do this year. Even if it's not the team you root for, man, I can't wait to watch them on Sunday Ticket, see what Baker and Odell are going to be. But so I understand why Baker's doing this. In sports, for as long as sports have existed, the nobody believes in us chip has been a useful one and one that teams try to go to.
Worked for the Eagles.
Well, and even, I mean, what was it? Was it the Patriots last year that because they weren't the overwhelming favorites, they all of a sudden decided nobody believes in us? Even when it's fake, teams try to create it because that is a good go-to in sports. If you can't go to that, then the us against the world is the next best option. Everyone's against us. And so that's, to me, what Baker's trying to do, even though I don't think his commentary is exactly accurate with this.
Can I just say, I think what he meant was a little bit what Eric Mangini was on the Herd the other day, and he was telling Colin, the more that the Browns talk, the more opposing teams are looking on their schedule. Oh, we got the Browns? All right, pipe down a little bit. Maybe we get up a little bit more for this game. Maybe we have a little more edge to us in this game. So maybe it's less we hate you and more, oh, they're going to be gunning for us this season. Could it be that's what Baker means as well?
Every year there are several teams that through free agency and through the draft, there are great expectations. The Jacksonville Jaguars were just like the Cleveland Browns, except Jacksonville didn't have as long of a bad history, but they were not winning games, and they started drafting players. Jalen Ramsey started saying stuff, and then what people started saying, we're coming after the Jags now. They're coming after their head. So I'm not concerned about what the league is saying because this is what I do know. If you are a good football team and you are a bad football team, when they toss that coin up and they say heads or tails, after that, they are trying to knock your head off. So Baker and all players in New England, you know what they're saying? It's us against the world. All right? It's an overplayed phrase. Everyone is trying to utilize it. But Baker and them, they do have. There are people out there doubting because the product. We only saw 7 games with Baker because of the long history. 7 wins with Baker. And because of the long history that they've had as far as losing, it's hard to take them serious. Yep. And to me, they're young players. They have a very good nucleus because Baker being the leader and having success last year without OBJ. Just like when they went from Hugh, people forget what actually happened. They started playing some good, solid football. They started running the ball. They started protecting the quarterback. They started not just throwing the ball to Jarvis Landry. Before, when Hugh was there, Jarvis Landry was targeted 12 times. After Hugh left, he was only targeted less than 7. So they started attacking defenses with all their personnel, and then they added OBJ. And one of the huge component that Nick likes to talk about when him and I talk about is no one talks about their defense.
Right.
Myles Garrett could be defensive MVP. He could have 20 sacks this season, and Sheldon Richardson being added, Olivier Vernon coming over from the Giants. Like, this is a very good collection of young guys who have not accomplished a whole bunch in the NFL. Now they're going about it with the inexperienced coach, which I believe is the biggest question mark with Cleveland moving forward.
It's the big that and their offensive line to a degree. Greg Robinson at left tackle is going to leave some people a little concerned. It's one of the reasons why some people have speculated, could the Browns be a team that calls up Washington and sees if they actually do want to trade Trent Richardson? Now, that would be a true all-in move on Cleveland, who's already made a lot of very aggressive moves. Or Trent Williams, not Trent Richardson, pardon me.
Yeah.
Trent Richardson's former running back. Trent Williams from Washington.
Yeah,
that would be
they can't trade back for him.
No, they can't.
They traded him to Indy.
They got a first-round pick for Trent Richardson years ago. But the other point on the defense is they made what I now, benefit of hindsight, in real time I didn't get it, but I think I understand it better now, made a savvy pick at number 4 with Denzel Ward last year. When everyone, I think everyone thought they were going to take the pass rusher, Chubb, they looked at it maybe correctly as, you know what? You know what nobody has enough of in this league right now? Corners. And you know what we think we're going to be able to do is find a pass rusher to pair opposite Myles Garrett through free agency. They did it with Olivier Vernon. So they draft Denzel Ward to supplement their back end. But when we're talking about overhyped, to me, to be overhyped, you have to not only be hyped, but have nothing. It's all just thought. Like the Niners, to me, are overhyped. We haven't seen the Niners be good with this regime, with this quarterback, once. There hasn't been a stretch of time where it's like, wow, the Niners look amazing.
We gave them a pass, though.
Because
Jimmy G, and we like him. We like Shanahan. We like John Lynch. We're not criticizing them, but they have done nothing.
Done nothing, and a lot of people, Vegas says their projected wins is 8.5.
Yeah, but Vegas is projecting these guys to make the playoffs and to do well in the playoffs. And I know there were 3 games last year that had they won, they would probably be in the playoffs. And win the division and beat the Steelers. I mean, there are people who said they could go to the Super Bowl. That doesn't sound like overhyped to you when we've not seen anything more than a small sample size last season?
This is the thing. What they have is real. They have what we're searching for. We couldn't have these shows if they didn't have the talk about NFL quarterbacks. So now we have a Heisman Trophy winner, not like a bunch of other ones, who can play pro football. Wow, his skills adapt to the pro game, and he's in a city that people would love to see a winner. Great football fans, the weather there, the character there. Yeah, it's not hype, though. Like, he's a good... The coach? Is the coach worthy to be a head coach in the NFL? I can understand if you're going to question that. But if you're questioning Baker Mayfield, his ability, you're wrong. John Dorsey, his ability to put together a competent team, hire a coach, you're wrong. And they got star players up and down. Not only 22-year-olds, they got some 26-year-old, 28-year-old. They don't have a bunch of guys in their 30s. So if you look at a young roster, I don't see a more promising young roster in the NFL than the Cleveland Browns have.
And every year, there's going to be a third of the playoff teams from the previous year that are out and at least 4 new ones in. It's usually 5. Some years it's 6. So if you have to pick some teams that didn't make it last year. To me, logic passes. How about a team that was only 2 games out of the playoffs, who was playing a rookie quarterback, who made a change at head coach that, even though there's questions about Kitchens, to me, there's not questions about Hugh. There's answers, and they're not great ones. That also added the most talented receiver, one of the most talented receivers in the league, and a pass rusher, and has other young guys that you expect to improve.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Now, could they fall flat on their faces? Could Baker have a sophomore slump?
Of course.
Could Freddie Kitchens not know how to do anything regarding clock management? All those things are on the board. But if I'm out there and I'm like, man, who's going to be that was out last year in this year? I'd sure as hell rather pick the Browns than the Bills. They got a second-year quarterback. To me, it makes sense. The logic follows.
Yeah, if Freddie Kitchens was only the offensive coordinator and he didn't have any of that game experience that he had last year, then I would be more apt to say, you know something, I'm going to wait a year on the Browns. But I saw him. I saw him run their offense. I saw the control he had and the command he had of that room there in Cleveland. So I believe in it. So it's not hype. Talent is the most important thing. Chemistry, character, all those other things. I am a little bit concerned about their wide receiving core, spreading the ball around, body language on the sidelines.
Right.
I am concerned about those little type of things. But those are good worries to have.
Right. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.